Hey there, boys and girls. So for this video, we're going to be talking about multiplying 2-digit by 2-digit numbers, but we are going to be focused on partial products and using partial products to find those answers. So in your notebooks, what I want you to do right now is open up to your next blank page. If you're taking a look at your mini learning board, it should already have your second learning target in the doing section from yesterday. If it doesn't, go ahead and double check that right now. But I need you to open up to the next blank page, and up at the top I want you to put partial products and today's date, which is December 6th, up at the top. So the first problem that I'm going to do this one on my own. I'm going to kind of explain to you how I'm getting this, why I'm doing it this way, and then we'll move on from there. So number one, again, you're writing this down in your notebook. I'm checking to see that you have all of your work down and that you've been following along with me throughout the video. There are going to be 5 questions in total. Number one is going to be 34 times 65. 34 times 65. So again, kind of like what I did with my area models, I'm going to want to decompose this. So instead of 34, I'm going to have 30 and 4. And instead of 65, I'm going to have 60 and 5. So these are my 4 pieces. I'm just writing these out to decompose them to kind of show you what my 4 pieces are. With the area models, I'm going to go ahead and do a quick illustration of that. Got my 4 square. And if you don't know why I'm using this area model or what it means, go ahead and check out my area models video. That will definitely be helpful for you. So when I set it up this way with my area models, I had 30 and 4 and I had 60 and 5. And to solve my first square one right here, I did 30 times 60. So 30 times 60. Here I did 4 times 60. Here I did 30 times 5. And over here I did 4 times 5. These were the problems that I did to get what went inside of each square. So you might say, wait, I'm confused. Didn't you do 30 times 60 and write it down? Yes, but for now I'm kind of showing you how we got each of these 4 little pieces, because when we do it with partial products, we're going to shy away from using this, and we're going to get to the point where we can just not even have to draw out our area model or our 4 square, and we can just make these equations right here for ourselves. So I'm noticing that this problem is written horizontally, so I want to go ahead and stack it up, almost like as if I'm going to do standard algorithm, but you guys will not have to do standard algorithm until you're in 6th grade, so we're not going to do it that way. But go ahead and change it from being written horizontally to stacking it up like this. So we've decomposed our number, we've looked at our problem, we've stacked it up, and now we're ready to get started. Remember, this is not something that I'm working on today. We're already done with our area models. This is something so that I can check and see and look back and compare that I have all my pieces. So I know that, again, there are going to be 4 pieces, just like I have the 4 over here. I have 2 2-digit numbers. So I know that I'm going to have 4 separate pieces. So I'll number them just for this first one, so that way you guys can see and kind of understand what I'm talking about, and it'll be easier for me to reference. So first thing I want to do is I want to start off in this bottom 1. I'm going to do 1 ones times my 1. So I have 5 times 4. That's going to be my first piece or my first equation. 5 times 4. Put your equal sign and move on. If you're done with your 1s, move on to your 10s. I have 5 times... You know what that is? 30. Remember, it's not a 3 because it's in my 10s. That is 30. So it's 5 times 30. Put your equal sign and move on. When you're done with your ones, then you can move on to your tens. I'm gonna go ahead and cross out my ones. That way I know that I'm moving on, kind of like a video game. If you're done with your ones, then you can level up and look at your tens. So now I'm gonna do the same thing here that I did with my 5. I'm gonna start off doing my 60 times my ones, which is 4. So my piece number 3 is gonna be 60 times, in my ones I have a 4, so 60 times 4. If I'm done with my ones, level up. So now I'm going to do my tens, which is 60 times, do you remember what this piece is? 30. Again, that 3 is in my 10, so it's not going to be 60 times 3 or 6 times 3. It's going to be 60 times 30. So now that I have all 4 of my pieces here, it's just like we did with our other partial products when we did our 1 digit by our 4 digit. It's exactly the same thing. So you're gonna go ahead and multiply, and then you're gonna add them up, and you're done. It's as simple as that. 5 times 4 gives me 20. Notice how I'm making space to line up by my ones. 5 times 30, I might not know what 5 times 30 is, but I do know that 5 times 3 equals 15. And then I have 1 0. So I'm going to put that at the end, again, lining up by my ones. 60 times 4, I might not know what 60 times 4 is, but I do know that 6 times 4 gives me what? 6 plus 6 is 12, 12 plus 12 is 24. Put your 24, don't forget about that 1 0 right there. And move on to your last piece. I have 60 times 30. I might not know what 60 times 30 is, but I do know that 6 times 3 gives me 18. And then I'm left with 2 zeros. So go ahead and plug those in. 1, 2. Now I'm going to go ahead and add all these pieces up. So I have 0 plus 0 plus 0 plus 0 gives me 0. 0 plus 2, or I'm sorry, 2 plus 5 plus 4 plus 0. So that gives me 11. Put your 1, carry your 1. 8 plus 2 is 10, 11, and 12. Put your 2, carry your 1. 1 plus 1 is 2. Count to 3, 1, 2, 3, put your comma. I'm left with 2,210, so that is my product. Okay, let's go ahead and move on to the next one. The next one is we're gonna do it together. So the first one I did it on my own. Next one we're gonna try one together. So go ahead and number this 2 inside your notebooks. So for number 2, I'm going to be working on 42 times 11. This time I'm not going to do my area model. I'm going to kind of show you without. This was just so that way you could kind of check and see that you had 60 times 30. Yep, you had the same thing as here. 4 times 60. Yep, you had the same thing over here. 5 times 30, same thing. 4 times 5, same thing. So this was kind of to show you how it ties in with what we did on Monday and how it was the same. Now I'm going to go ahead and do this without my area model. I'm going to kind of lean away from that and get started doing it the normal way. So it's written horizontally. I'm going to want to stack it up. So I have 42 times 11. Again, you're going to want to decompose this, and I do this off to the side. So that way I can check and see what my pieces are going to be, because if you don't decompose and you skip that step, like I saw some of you trying to do yesterday on Tuesday, then that's when I'm going to start to see you making your problems and your errors. So 42 turns into 40 and 2, and 11 turns into 10 and 1. So these are my 4 pieces that I'm going to be having, and I'm going to go ahead and get started making up my 4 equations, and then do my multiplication, and then do my addition. So again, starting off on the bottom, right? Whenever you're playing a video game or any kind of game, you're always starting off at the very bottom, at the baseline. I'm going to start off in my ones, like level 1. I'm going to do my ones times my 1. Again, starting off with the ones. 1 times 2. That's what my first piece is going to be. 1 times 2. Then, when I'm done with my ones, I can move on to my tens. So 1 times, do you think you know what that is? 1 times what? Go ahead and write it down. 1 times 40. Again, that 4 is in our 10. So if you put 1 times 4, you'd be getting this entire problem wrong. So you want to slow it down, think about what that 4 means. And again, this is where I'm looking back and I'm seeing, okay, yes, I did my 1 times 2. Now I'm going to do my 1 times that 40. Don't just rush through and put 4. That's going to mess you up. So you did 1 times 2, now you're doing 1 times 40. Then you're going to move on to your 10s. It's like a video game. Done with my 1s, moving on to my 10s. This is not a 1, this is a 10. It's 1 in my 10, so it's worth 10. So I'm going to do my 10 times whatever's in my 1. So my 10 times 2, that's what that's showing me. 10 times 2. And then I'm going to move on to my 10. So I'm going to do my 10s times my 10s. So I have 10 times 40. 10 times 40. I'm just going to go ahead and set this up now, make it easier for myself. So 1 times 2, that's 2. 1 times 40, that's 40. 10 times 2, that's 20. And 40 times 10, that's 400. If you don't know that anything times 10, you're putting a 0 on the end. You might do 1 times 4, which gives you 4. And then you might add your 2 zeros that are left over. Either way, you're going to get the same answer. 2 plus 0 plus 0 plus 0 gives me 2.